Oh boy, we're reading a book and it's about people with sharp blades and I was making that up as I go, but musical improv is so hard. You know, like I felt like I had to stick to a tune. I had to.
Hey. I'm thinking maybe if I just sort of ignore that, we can pretend it didn't happen.
Oh man, are you telling me that my song isn't gonna make it into the video? Because if that's the case, I'm just gonna keep bringing it up later and later, so it'll be forced.
No,
include
it'll make it in. It'll just be embarrassing for you.
Alright, hey, that's fine.
I was trying to soften the blow, but
I've been
now we're
embarrassed
talking about
way
it.
worse by my own actions.
How far in are we? How long? Let's see. We're about a full minute in, and so far your song has been the only subject of this. Is that good? Do you like that?
I like that. I think that's good content.
Okay. Hey, part 4 of book 2 of the Stormlight Archive, featuring Kaladin, the depressed boy, and Shallan,
the white lady,
the spy who has PTSD, and just a lot of good characters, a lot of fun ones.
Right, good stuff going on for everybody all the time.
Yep, we started out with
interludes.
An interlude featuring Lift.
Mm-hmm.
And she's... What do you think of Lift, John?
She's kind of strange. She likes to eat food, so we have that in common.
Yes, very
eating
relatable
food
character.
sustains magical powers. That is something we don't have in common.
What?
Yeah.
Really? Because I thought that was like her most relatable. Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Well, yeah, she's I don't know. She has a weird kind of like, not accent exactly. It's like it's almost like a speech impediment, you know? Not a speech impediment. Maybe it's an accent. She just has weird sentence structure.
Idiosyncratic.
Sure,
She's kind of wiki-wacky. I think Brandon Sanderson is trying to write her like he thinks this is how children speak. Maybe he's never met a child. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe he's never met like an urchin. She's an urchin type.
And you know, Kate Redding actually narrates Lift also trying to talk like a child.
Oh, really?
And it just makes Lift really obnoxious.
I believe that.
Yeah, like these are chapters that I would rather just read than listen to because the voice just not enjoyable.
No, anytime like somebody in a book like writes in such a way that they're like pronouncing words so you get what their accent is, like that's just kind of annoying to me most of the time, you know.
Yeah.
Where they have to like change how the word is spelled. Yeah, I don't like that. And that's what Lift was doing. But whatever. Otherwise, interesting character.
Yeah. So, Lift is up in there. She's being a thief. We actually learned a surprising amount from her and her spren, who keeps trying to explain stuff to her before she cuts the spren off because she just doesn't want to know all of the cool
because it's
world
a void
mechanics
bringer or something.
Well, but she clearly doesn't actually think that. She's just saying it because she's a weirdo, and this is like, whatever. Mm-hmm. She's all up in Azir. I don't know.
I've always said Azir.
And she is thieving the palace where the Prime Ocarix lives, but they're dead, and so is the one before them because Zeth murdered them.
Yep. So
they're looking for a new one.
Right, but the fact that they keep getting murdered doesn't exactly make it great for succession. Yeah,
I mean, geez, I don't know. I have a lot of notes on this chapter, but now that I'm actually glancing back over them, I think a lot of them are more summarize-y than they are like legitimate notes. Yeah. She's being chased by freaking
Crescent Birthmark Man.
Yep, we saw him way back in the prologue from Yasna's perspective, right?
Yep.
He was walking through the hall talking to some other guy,
and then he
of course killed that cobbler man.
Yeah.
And now he is hunting Lift as well.
Right. Yeah, she's she constantly refers to him as Darkness, as if that's his name, or how she.
That's her name for him.
Right.
Yeah. Lift says at one point that leaving bodies is easy, not exiting bodies, but like leaving a trail of corpses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, Lift, why do you?
Because you're like 13.
Yeah, she says that she's 10 for the third time.
Right.
Because any number greater than 10 is bad luck, because she's just a weirdo.
Yep.
She is one of the edge dancers. Her powers are friction and growth, and with growth comes regrowth as well.
Right.
Magic healing powers. We saw those back in Downr's Visions.
Yep.
So cool beans. Hey, Lift can do that. Hot dog. At one point, her spren, who has a name.
Yes, Wendell.
Wendell says that Lift has visited the old magic. Our mother has blessed her.
Mm-hmm. So she.
And I'm thinking
the
this.
Nightbringer.
It's like, is it the Nightbringer? Is it the Night Watcher? Night Mother? I don't know.
I think it's the Nightbringer.
We're thinking of the same thing, though.
Right. The one that you grants you a wish and gives you some curse or something.
Yeah. So I'm thinking Lift has visited that, and later down in the interlude, we actually get even another hint towards that, which is a lot more blatant, I thought.
Yeah.
Lift says she grew up in the City of Shadows. I don't know if that'll be significant again.
Yep.
Yada.
But,
she says someone has to care, and that's her whole thing, is that someone has to care. So she's a good kid.
Right.
Very chaotic good in nature.
Yeah,
that's Lift.
Definitely, yeah. So she has the weird ability to like turn food into Stormlight.
Yes, which Wendell theorizes is part of her relationship with the Night Watcher Motherbringer.
Right, yeah. And that seems, kind of inconvenient, but maybe not so much more inconvenient than always having to have, like, spheres on your person.
Well, it means that Lift will be the only one who can use Stormlight during the weeping, right?
Oh, that's true, yeah.
And also, it makes me worry, like, for other Search Binders, if they run out of Stormlight while they're doing their thing, their powers just shut off, right? Mm-hmm. But for Lift, would her powers shut off first, or would she just die? If she overdid it.
Right, because she was kind of borderline overdoing it in this chapter, and she gets, starts suffering from, malnutrition, symptoms. Yeah. So I imagine, she would probably just die if she, overdid it way too hard.
Yeah. She says that, she is calling her spren a Voidbringer. She says that she had captured him with words, and I'm thinking that must have been just her speaking the oaths, right?
Oh, sure, yeah.
That was her capturing him with words. Wendell says that some spren are better at hiding from people and some are worse.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to me.
Yeah,
so far, all the spren have been pretty good at it that we've seen, right?
So then she gets hunted down by a Darkness Crescent Cheek Boy, who's this weird, vigilante, but he respects the law of whatever place he's in, and he knows what your past transgressions are, and then he comes to kill you or something.
He's a herald, dude. I'm convinced.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, because it's something he says later. But first, I'm going to comment a little bit more. Lift is able to touch her spren, right? She's able to touch Wendell and actually physically interact with him.
Right.
Other people cannot do this, right?
Yep.
And at the time, I was like, she can touch him. Can she touch other spren? And then later, we learned that yes, she can touch other spren. So it makes me wonder, could Lift just freaking strangle a spren or squish one or something? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So that's we'll see if that comes up. And she uses it just to her spren is made up of all of vines, and she climbs him to get up to high places, right?
Yep. Pretty nifty.
I write that she totally visited the Night Mother. Her spren says that he is partly in the cognitive realm, or she is partly in the cognitive realm. Wendell also says she doesn't care about your kind any longer now that he's gone. And it sounded like he was talking about the Night Watcher, which I'm pretty sure is her name. I think Nightbringer, you'd have to be an idiot to think that one. And it makes me wonder, who is this he that he's speaking of, right? It seems there was some human, here I wrote Night Mother. Oh, dear. The Night Mother loved, but he's died. Was it one of the heralds? Was it Hoyd, who might have just skedaddled, right? I don't know. Hoyd seems like the sort of guy who would... get freaky with a god tier spren, right?
Yeah. I can see it.
So, I don't know.
It is Night Watcher.
Yes, Night Watcher. Yeah. I thought it was funny. Everybody in the Aesir Empire, they all write essays to figure out who's going to be the next Arcturix Prime, and they're all writing them really bad on purpose because they don't want to get murdered by Zeth, right?
Which is like that episode of Futurama with all of the water bottles that keep getting assassinated.
Oh yeah, and And they're also saying, like, well, should we just pick the best, the worst essay? Because in these circumstances, that would be the cleverest person, right?
Right.
And I thought that was funny. I appreciated that.
Right. Wendell, just another note on him. He mentions he used to be a gardener. And it sounds like he was making crystals from lights in the cognitive realm. Like he was making crystals from human minds or something. It was some weird...
Yes.
Gardener check. All right, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Human essences in the cognitive realm are the lights, probably, sure. Crystals, you're making them from them, that's where I get lost, but...
Yeah. I don't know what's up with that.
Weird
I'm sure
stuff.
I assume we'll find out eventually.
Yeah.
Also, they pass a painting of the heralds where one face has been scratched off. And I'm like, aha, we know a person who defiles art.
Yep.
So it makes me wonder, does that person have some grudge against that specific herald or something, you know?
Yeah, I can see it.
But who would have a grudge against a herald, John?
Ooh, another herald?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh.
I'm looking for heralds in every shadow, you know?
Right. Teft? I'm watching you.
Teft. The Darkness Man uses some sort of creature to steal the Stormlight right out of Lift. Is that a Larkin?
It sounds like a Larkin based on the way he... It's like a golden creature with wings. He has it all like chained up so that it can't, move around. But he just kind of pulls it out and it sucks all the Stormlight out of her. And I'm like, whoa, that seems overpowered.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe our good friend Risen has one of those as well now, and she can also do that. Also, there was one point the primary advisor, the Vizier, was like, "Hey, don't murder that girl." After Darkness got a hold of Lift, and then it said that she wilted under his gaze, right, and like gave in, and then shortly afterwards, she was like holding a hand to her head, and it makes me wonder: did he somehow manipulate her emotions?
Oh,
right?
Sure.
Because there's magic in the world, right?
Yeah. Huh.
Don't know. Maybe. Darkness does have Stormlight powers. Could have guessed that, right?
Right. He's got all this paperwork, that says he's fine to do everything he does is operating under the law of Azir, right? Which is kind of funny, given that seems like, pretty. He's like a murderer, right? Like he is. And but he's very concerned about acting within the law of the place he's in, and then eventually, due to circumstances, the Emperor pardons Lift, and he's like, well, nothing I can do now,
Yeah, can't kill her if she's pardoned. That would be illegal. Because this guy, just like Lift, is chaotic good to a T.
Yep.
Darkness is lawful evil to a T. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Lift says the words, "I will remember those who have been forgotten," just before she heals the kid, or she thinks them to herself. And I think that was another one of her oaths. I think we just witnessed that happen.
Sure.
I will remember those who have been forgotten. That doesn't feel like Lift talking. That feels like...
It does not sound like something she would say organically.
Also, Darkness referred to her as an edge dancer. He does know of the orders. So maybe he's a herald. I don't know, John. Why would he know? Nobody knows about the freaking orders, right?
Yeah.
This information is like an unlocking key.
Here.
I actually wrote the note. He's got to be a herald. I don't know. He believes that hunting surge binders may somehow prevent the desolation.
Yeah, I guess.
That's like why he's doing this.
All right, it's kind of weird. Like his motivations are unclear, but he's certainly got them, and he is following them pretty strictly.
Lift says to him, "I wanted to be like you once. Didn't work out. Wasn't even like being alive." And I'm like, what? Lift, you're like 10. What are you on about?
Yeah, because he has Darkness Man has no emotions, right? He's totally just like a zombie, more or less.
What 13-year-old once wanted to be like some crazy evil vigilante emotionless murderer?
Yeah, Lift is... She's so weird to begin with that her saying crazy stuff like that, I'm like, par for the course at this point. Don't read into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily we're going to read Edge Dancer actually quite soon.
Right.
That's in just like 4 weeks we start that book.
Yeah, I gotta go.
So we'll get some more insight into old Lift soon enough. And she heals some kid, and now he is the new leader of the entire nation.
Right,
Because he performed a
experienced
miracle in surviving getting his freaking throat slit. And by the way, that's another thing. This healing power Lift has, this is no joke. This is a pretty strong freaking healing power. Like the fact that, this kid gets his throat slit. Oh, jeez.
Yikes.
And then she escapes through a window, and then she comes back in later after she's avoided some people and pushes through a crowd. And then she, by the time she gets back to him and heals him, he has been bleeding out for a while, right? He has probably lost...
He's super dead.
A lot of his blood, almost all of it, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And she heals that, so it makes the healing power sound kind of OP.
Yeah, for sure. And then we get the best line of the book, "Can I eat your lunch?" Finally know where that came from. When we met Brandon Sanderson, he wrote that in one of the books he signed to our friend, and I was like, what a weird thing for him to write. You're like, oh, that's actually from a book. You'll get it when we get there.
Yeah.
And now I do.
Hell yeah. Also, as Darkness is leaving, he says, "Praise Ysir, Herald of Kings. May he lead in wisdom if he ever stops drooling." So this guy, John, he knows Ysir personally, I'm thinking. Ysir's also still out there. And Ysir might be in some sort of vegetative state or something.
Right.
Why is he drooling?
Think too highly of him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
This is a good case. I like it.
So I've got a lot, as you can see, I had a lot of notes from that first chapter. As a matter of fact, that first chapter made up almost half of my notes for the entire thing.
Yeah, I had a ton for that too, but a lot of mine were kind of summary as well. I don't think I have anything else. Oh, Nightbringer, reading it now, just so embarrassing. Yeah, no, that's all I got.
Next interlude is all about our boy Zeth, who's just chilling in Urithiru.
Yeah, he's just hanging out.
He's there. What the heck? I thought finding that was going to be cause for some pomp and circumstance, but no, Zeth, he's been there.
He's just hanging out.
He's been there for ages, dude. Ever since he got banished, he's been going there.
All right. It's his fun.
What?
It's his cool hangout. His after-school place to be.
I write, well, Zeth is cracked. He's gone completely insane.
Yep.
Yeah,
because kind of our theories we had before seemed to be correct, that he raised the alarm, so to speak, that the Knights Radiant were returning, and his masters were like, "You liar, you can't lie, and Shin, that's a crime worse than death," and they declare him truthless, and now he doesn't understand anything. And if the Shamanate, the people that charged him with being truthless, if they're wrong, well, nothing has any meaning anymore. It's the end of the world.
Yeah. Jeez. I mean, and also he says that if their authority isn't to be trusted, then he's been murdering all of these people
for no reason.
That becomes his fault, kind of, as a result.
Yep. Yeah.
Because he never should have been listening to them in the first place, or something like that.
Right.
Urithiru, hey, it's a city above the clouds. It has 100 levels to this big tower structure.
Yeah.
And he says at one point that it looks like one part of it was sliced off by a giant shard blade.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, was this an architectural decision, or
right.
is there a shard blade that could slice through a city-sized tower?
Right, yeah. I'm hoping it's the first. Hoping this guy was just a little too creative,
Yeah, we will see. Zeth, he said he came here just after he was banished from Shinovar. How did he learn about this place? How did he learn about anything?
Right.
Why does Zeth know so much?
Yeah.
What is his past? Please tell us.
Yeah. And so now he's off to do something of his own volition for the first time. Because nothing has any meaning anymore.
As he's flying, he's like, oh, geez, I'm kind of clumsy with this. The Knights Radiants were better at this, like the Voidbringers, he said.
Oh, missed that.
Implying that the Voidbringers could also use these same powers, or maybe similar powers.
Right, yeah. Which would kind of enforce our idea of the Parshendi taking some Spren, maybe Stormform, maybe something else.
Yeah.
They have abilities.
That was kind of just dropped in there, so maybe, who knows, maybe the Parshendi can also Surge Bind, even though I don't think we've seen anything to indicate that yet, but it's on the table now.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we're over to Eshonai.
Yep.
And she's...
tons of people have taken Stormform now.
Yep, it's 200, and by the end of this little bit, she's basically convinced everyone that by the next high storm, like thousands of them, like almost all of them are going to go take the form, and she basically plans on killing everyone who doesn't.
Right. She rounds everybody up that doesn't want to take the form, and her plan is to basically during the weeping, when the Alethi come with their like full assault on the Shattered Plains, unleash a storm on them, and that'll basically do it, you know. And they're all immune to the storm when they're in storm form anyway.
But she does kind of let her mom and friends escape a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Venli was like, "You knew this would happen," and she's like, "What? Don't
challenge my authority." And she's like, "I'm just saying." She's like, "Don't challenge my authority." Hey.
Yeah. Esh and I also now have a little comet-like spren that's like following her around. Hey, we know other people who have spren following them around, don't we?
Yeah.
However, this spren, when it like flies to her chest, and then she can hear herself screaming.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder: is the spren actually Eshonai, like her real personality, and it got kicked out and she was inhabited by the evil spren or something like that?
Yeah, it seems kind of like her part of her old self is in the spren, because she only hears her old self like screaming when it's nearby or whatever. Yeah,
and when she channels the rhythm of peace, she hears her old self. I don't know, it's all kind of whack. That's basically all I have on that chapter, though. I don't know. You're doing Parshendi stuff.
Right. Yeah, the people that she rounded up to kill flee into the caverns, and she's like, "Well, I'll die during the high storm anyway, whatever." And doesn't get
I don't think they will, John.
Oh, there's no way. Not sure what their plan is, but they'll be fine.
Where's Shen?
Oh, yeah.
Where is Shen? Shen must be with them. I'm thinking Shen went into the chasms, and he's going to like lead them all to Kaladin or something, you know?
Yeah. Gotta be something like that.
Because Shen would not want to take storm form.
Oh, no.
No way.
Not after what he's learned.
And hey, after that, we are into part 4 proper. Cha-ching of a blinga. We have another letter, and at the beginning of this part, I'm like, "Ooh, another letter from Wit, presumably." And then the next one, I'm like, no, it's to Wit. This is the response to the first one.
Yep.
That being said, I don't think I'm going to read the beginning of letter parts as we go.
Yeah.
I think let's just get to the end of part 4, and then we can go back and we can reread the letter from the first book, and then this entire letter as a response, just all at once, you know?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That'll be fun. Kaladin's in prison.
Oh man.
No, still
another low somehow.
Kaladin's such a baby.
And he's like, Dalinar put me in here because he's the worst and all White Eyes are the worst and it's his fault. And Sill's like, he knows that's not true. He's like, shut up. Yeah, I know it's not, but whatever.
Dalinar's cool. Dalinar's cool. I admit it. Also, Kaladin said something along the lines of like, even Dalinar said Elhokar messed up by letting Sadeas weasel out. And I'm like, dude, I think you misinterpreted that. That was not Elhokar's fault per se, right?
Yeah.
And then Wit comes and tells a story, and it's about a guy who tries to outrun a storm, but then he dies, but then his soul outruns the storm. And the entire time, I was trying to figure out, like, okay, how is this a beautiful metaphor for Kaladin's current situation?
Right, yeah.
And I just don't know, man.
Yeah, I could not. And he's saying that Kaladin kind of told the story because Kaladin breaks in some points and says some stuff. He, like, kind of steers the story in some directions. And at the end, Kaladin's even like, what does it mean? And Wit's like, I don't know, it's your story, buddy. And he's like, why are you so cryptic all the time, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a metaphor for, like, being at being at peace with yourself or something, like
being at peace with mortality.
Because like the guy in the story, Fleet is his name, right?
Yep.
He's running in front of the storm. And the whole time he's getting more tired, more exhausted, but he keeps going, you know.
Yep.
And his feet are getting torn up and everything's, you know, but he's still running. And then he finally dies. At which point, he doesn't even need to try to outrun the storm anymore, right? His spirit just does it, and it's free and easy, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, it sounds to me like if he had stopped trying a whole lot sooner, he would have just become a spirit and won really easy, right?
Right.
So maybe the story is kind of about like literally not running yourself ragged and not trying to do the impossible.
Sure.
I don't know.
Kaladin,
That's my best guess.
If he had just jumped in the chasm at the beginning, he would have been a cool spirit.
Kaladin, the moral of the story is off yourself. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
a decent theory.
It's hard to interpret. Like, this is my best guess, but...
Yeah.
Also, Wit is tuning his guitar, and he says that, like, this is so much easier ever since I got perfect pitch or something like that, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, perfect pitch, I don't know if you know this, but I think Brandon Sanderson probably does, because he seems like the type of guy that does his research, right?
Yeah.
Perfect pitch is not something that you develop late in life.
No,
it's something you're born
you
with.
get, like, as a kid, because your parents
Yeah.
played a bunch of classical music while you were lying in your cradle or something.
Like, you do not develop this when you're however old Wit is, right?
Right, yeah. You don't just...
Or, sorry, Hoyd. So it makes me I'm thinking, like, there is a lot of magic in the world that could give you better hearing, like, I don't know, swallowing tin, maybe? Tin ear or something like that, right?
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
I don't know, it's just a guess. But,
yeah. Took me a second to remember that's what tin did. I was thinking
yeah,
tin the
just enhances
character,
the
and I was
senses.
like, oh, right.
Oh, sure. No,
Yeah.
not that tin.
Tin the metal, yes.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think some sort of investiture is probably responsible for his perfect pitch.
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay, moving on. Who are we talking to now? Wait.
Shallan, yeah.
Oh,
So
my only note on this is that she made an image produce sound a long time ago.
Yep, and we learned that Pattern can hold on to Stormlight and have illusions attached to him, so he becomes somehow even more useful than he already was. And we learned that Dalinar is sick, and that's pretty much it.
Dalinar's sick?
Yep. He's come down with something, and Navani's taking care of him.
I missed that. Oh, heck.
Yep. That's,
was that just out? Was Adolin just saying that in their text? They were texting each other.
Yeah. He just mentioned that, and she was like, "Is he feeling any better?" And he's like, "A little bit, but we don't really know much."
Rest in peace, Dalinar.
Yep, rip Dalinar. Oh
well. Now we're back to Kaladin in prison, and he just mentions in passing that there was a high storm yesterday, which of course to him is insignificant, but we know that means that thousands of Parshendi just took storm form, right? So that's happened.
Yeah,
the Parshendi are now like a horrible murder force of storm-wielding maniacs.
Right, completely hell-bent on destroying everyone in the Shattered Plains of Alethi Descent.
Yeah, that's a bit of a yikes. And then, oh geez, John, now we learned something that's actually quite tragic.
Yep.
Rishon, remember him?
Yep.
From Kaladin's tragic backstory.
Bad mayor of Hearthstone.
It turns out he got sent there. He was banished there kind of by Elhokar and Dalinar in tandem.
Yep. Because
so they are indirectly responsible for Kaladin's tragic backstory.
And for Tien's death, which is even worse somehow.
Yeah.
And Rishon is also the one that kind of caused the whole deal with Moash's grandparents to go on. So
exactly.
Rishon, his reputation only improving as his story goes on.
Rishon real bad. All right, so here's where we're at, John. Right.
Yep.
Kaladin killed Shallan's brother.
Hellerman, yeah.
Dalinar and Elhokar kind of indirectly killed Kaladin's brother.
Yes.
I'm starting to see a pattern in just how tied into everyone's backstories each other's stuff is, right?
Yeah.
So I have a new theory, which is that Syl killed Dalinar's dead wife.
Dalinar's dead wife.
Yeah, the one he can't remember.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. The static.
Yep.
And you think Syl did that. Syl does seem pretty murderous.
Yes. Yeah, because Syl, she's the one that so far hasn't been involved in a murder. But I'm thinking everybody's got to be involved in a murder somehow.
And
right?
it's like Adolin says later, anybody that squeaky clean's hiding something. Syl, she's too good.
Exactly.
She's masquerading a horrible murderous serial killer.
So I feel pretty confident about that. I'm like a 9 out of 10 on that one. We'll see.
Interesting that there's a lot of brothers involved here because Dalinar and Gavilar, that's a thing.
Yeah, Dalinar's brother is also dead. Shallan, Dalinar, and Kaladin all lost a brother.
Yeah.
Wow. From now on, John, let's just keep a close eye. If a new character is introduced and they don't have a brother, we'll be like, oh, that's an important one. We'll know right off the bat.
Yep. I wonder if Lift has a brother. Or had.
Well, had.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, did we skip a chapter here?
Maybe.
I think we're in 62. We can just talk about 61 after this, but I don't have very many notes for 62 anyway. Yeah, just like Rashon was responsible for Moash's grandparents and for Kaladin's tragic backstory. Now Kaladin's like, yeah, maybe killing Olokar's fine. I'm cool with it. Bye, Syl. See ya.
Yep, I write, yeah, that can't be good for Syl.
Yep. Yeah, my exact thing is, Kaladin is convinced the king needs to die. Bye-bye, Syl.
Yeah, rest in peace, Syl. That's gonna suck.
Yeah, oh well. I mean, what good has she done for anybody, huh?
Yeah, I hate her. I hate her, dude. Every time she was first introduced, I've been thinking, like, I can't wait for her to die.
Yeah, stupid character. So in chapter 61, it's a Shallan flashback. Hardly anything really.
Makes sense I don't have any notes, yeah.
Yeah. The only thing of any import is that her father orders for Helleran to be assassinated once he learns that he's nearby from Balat. So,
but we already know that assassination attempt fails.
Right, yeah. I'm just curious to see if that, has any significance for any other reason. Anyway, back to Shallan again. And now it's Mission Ghost Blood, episode 3?
Shallan, I realized during this chapter that Shallan is maybe my favorite character right now. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. Like, frankly, we're not getting a lot of great Dalinar action. We're just kind of seeing Dalinar through this Kaladin-shaped lens, right? Mm-hmm. But Shallan's doing cool shit. So it's time for her to go investigate Talonel Elin, right?
The crazy herald man stuck up in a tower.
Yeah. And I'm saying, like, man, I love Shallan because I have all these questions, and she is the only one giving me answers, right? Yeah. Like, she's going off investigating Amaram, now Talm. She's gonna teach her everything we want to know. Right.
So she kind of teams up with scary mask lady for the day, who's a little less scary now, I guess. She's been, now that we know more about her, don't remember her name, some weird thing that started with an I.
Eotl,
sure. And
And Eotl says that Mraize is actually her student.
Right. What?
But Mraize also seems to be her boss.
Yeah, very.
So I don't really know.
Don't know what she's like training him in, and why.
I wonder, where is Eotl from, where everybody wears masks?
Yeah. Well, she says that she wears it to protect her identity because why would she walk around so brazenly giving that to the world, whereas everybody else we've ever met is fine with it, So yeah.
It seems like where she comes from though, everyone wears a mask. That was how I interpreted it.
Yeah, just like a culturally accepted thing where she's from. Like your identity is too important to just hand away.
Yeah. So the idea was that Eotl was just gonna follow. What's her
Vale.
dark guy's name? Vale. Yeah. We're just gonna follow Vale and just figure out like how she actually completes these tasks because so far it's a total mystery, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But of course Shallan is too clever. And she uses her secret spy powers to actually catch Eotl in the act and be like, well, if you're gonna follow me anyways, do you just want to come help out? Like we'll just kind of go
tag team.
And I was like, oh sure, yeah, why not?
And so she has to hide her like illusion storm powers from her, which is like adding even more challenge to things. And so she just sticks her head out and like undisguises herself, and then makes a distraction, sticks her head back in. And I'm like, man, these characters are so good at solving problems.
Yeah. They're going into one of those places that's all chock full of Ardents.
Yep, Ardents and crazy people.
Yep.
Well, I guess
and it's like some sort of a hospital sort of deal, or like
It's like a campus with different buildings for ill people, and one of them's they're going into the like mentally insane building.
Yeah. So they get in there, and Eotl's like, "So what's our plan?" And Shallan's like, "Don't worry, I got this."
And then just throws her under the bus.
The Ardents come in and she says, "It's my sister. She's put on this strange mask and refuses to remove it."
I think she's possessed by
I thought this was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my
god. Just inside, as soon as she says that, she's like...
Eotl's like shooting her daggers with your eyes, like, I'll kill you for this. But then she also plays along because, it's not a bad plan.
Yeah. It works.
Yeah.
And so
I thought that was really funny.
Treating her, and then she sneaks off to find the room that Harold Boy is in.
Yep.
And she gets in there pretty easy, disguises herself as a herald, walks inside. He's just mumbling the same rant over and over about...
As a herald? As an ardent.
Oh, yes. Sorry, as an ardent.
Yes.
So yeah, she walks into Talonel Elin, and he's saying all the stuff about like the bronze and the metal and things. We gotta prepare you for the next desolation, and he's just crazy.
Yeah, and she says that he refers to himself as Talinel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she says that's odd. The herald's name is actually Talenelot,
mm-hmm.
which I'm thinking is the Vorin Church actually just named him that after the fact because it's symmetrical.
Yeah.
They modified his name to make it symmetrical so it would be more holy.
Right.
But actually it was just Talinel all along.
Right, yeah.
That was kind of fun.
Yeah. And so she's, trying to get any information. She asks, like what his name is, and that's the only question he actually answers. And then just goes back into his rants. And she's just like, well, it's about all I can get. I guess I'll head out. And so she uses her powers to make the image of the Arden again, and he flips out, pins her against a wall, and he's like, "Oh, you're one of them." You're one of
Ishar's knights, right? So that must be the herald of one of the orders that can use illusion magic,
right?
Yeah, and him making a commotion in there. Actually, no, this doesn't draw Amaram. Amaram just happened to be coming to visit, right?
Yep. Yeah, he was just passing by.
So he pops in. Amaram has a plan to go find this entire cache of shard blades. They might be the honor blades.
Yeah.
Hanging out in the Shattered Plains somewhere or something like that.
Yep.
That apparently Talon talked about once during his rambling, and he hasn't mentioned it again since. And Amaram's like, "Well, let's go get these freaking honor blades
right, if somebody
in
else
secret without anyone else knowing."
Yeah. If someone else hears about it, they'll get to it first.
Yeah, so I kind of hope he doesn't find them.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be bad.
But also, I don't know why Brandon Sanderson would tell us about this if it didn't end up being significant, right?
Right, yeah, because I don't remember hearing that in his first little series of rants. So
so that's kind of sketch.
Man, Amaram has the weirdest side plot all of a sudden.
Yeah, Amaram's kind of all over the place.
Yeah, he's so much more involved in the grand overarching plot in this book in the series than I thought he would be.
Yeah. Also, Kaladin is in prison, and he's just he is just spiraling, dude. He's starting to think that maybe all of the Bridgemen actually hate him.
Yeah.
And all this stuff, he's completely just his soul has been crushed. And I'm sitting here Kaladin, it's been less than 2 weeks at this point,
yeah,
right?
Well, I was thinking about it though, and he's basically in solitary, which is pretty terrible. He has Syl.
He's not. Wit came to visit him. The guard comes by.
Yeah. But I mean, during his every other waking hour, he's just sitting in the cell with nothing to do. It's pretty similar. I mean, yeah, it's 3 weeks, which isn't that big of a deal, but I can see why he would spiral a little bit if he was in that situation.
I expect better from the hero of a cool fantasy novel.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Kaladin's a loser boy.
He finally gets let out, and all the Bridgemen are there waiting for him because it's his release day. But what's this? Who else has been locked up this whole time? Adolin. Ugh.
It's Adolin, who suddenly
sense.
Also just became one of my favorite characters.
Yeah. So he locked himself up, insisting that he stay, locked up for as long as Kaladin was, because Kaladin, saved his life, so he's paying him back in a weird way.
Yeah. When Kaladin gets let out as well, I'll talk about more about that in a second.
Yeah.
But right when he gets let out, he also says as freedom came, the darkness receded, but there was one difference in him that would never go away.
Oh, yeah.
And he basically says that if anyone ever threatens to put him in a cage again, he will die before going into that cage. He's going to fight some sort of rabid animal,
Yeah.
So that's going to come up again.
Yep.
That's going to come up again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I noticed is that in every chapter up to this one about Kaladin being in prison, Syl's been there doing something or other, but Syl is not mentioned once in this chapter.
Yep.
So.
Boy.
Yeah, but Adolin is being such a freaking bro. Adolin decided to also, go to prison the entire time Kaladin was in there out of solidarity, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Perfect word.
And he says to Kaladin, is it true what you said about Amaram? And Kaladin's like, yeah, wouldn't make that up. And Adolin's like, oh, I knew it. Adolin just trusts him.
Yeah, immediately. And I was like, whoa, Adolin, that's an awfully Dalinar move that Dalinar didn't even do.
Yeah, that's like freaking dope, dude. Maybe not, maybe not well advised, but really cool. Like,
yeah, we know it's the truth. So hey, solid.
Yeah.
And he says that thing about like Amaram, you never hear any single bad thing about him. So obviously, that could be somebody trying to protect their reputation, whereas Dalinar makes mistakes and is open about it.
Yeah. And SpaghettiOs. Adolin tries to give Kaladin Shardblade.
Oh boy, what a way to bring up his traumatic past here.
It is such a cool thing to do. Really,
right. This
because,
is the best thing Adolin can do for Kaladin in his power, basically. He's with this you can challenge Amaram like you want to. You'll be a Light Eyes more or less in rank, if not in actual pigment.
Yeah. I mean, just the fact that this allows Kaladin to legitimately challenge Amaram, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it means that this actually is like the answer to Kaladin's problems, kind of, right?
But of course, we know Kaladin cannot accept this. He's already refused it once before for the same reason.
Yeah.
He can't take the Shardblade, not even just for Syl's sake, but because it's killed too many people that he's cared for. It's just a sign, of like everything the Light Eyes have done wrong to him and all that good stuff.
Yeah. But it's his Shardblade now and play. He gets to do whatever he wants with it. Right. So he's going to give it to someone else, of course.
Yep.
And let's see, I can think of a lot of good people to give that to. Just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Like Rock would probably be great. Even if he doesn't want to fight, still, I want him to have it. Protect that strong boy.
Yeah.
Zigzol, I think he'd probably be really good. Who knows?
Teft even. Sure, why not?
Teft would be awesome.
He knows what he's doing.
Yeah. I mean, heck, give it to Lopin. He's got one arm, but sure he can put it to good use.
For his...
Am I missing anyone?
No. I think that's the only good ones to give it to. Surely he picks one of them.
Yeah. Oh, but... Wait a minute,
no.
What does it say here?
Oh, there's a smudge. Enhance.
Let me I'll just wipe that off. Oh, no way.
Shoot.
Oh, he gives it to Moash.
Oh, golly, he gives it to an assassin to be.
And, well, it kind of makes sense, because shortly afterwards, he pulls Moash aside and he's like, I am super down to kill the king, right? And, like, now, if you are allies with the assassin, I guess you might want him to have shards, right?
Yeah. He's like, whatever you need me to do, I'll do it, so that he can go in there and kill the king. I'm so down. And then Moash is like, hey, sounds good. After that, we can go kill Amaram. What do you say? And he's like, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But
yeah. And Kaladin is
okay.
like, Kaladin's trying to be like, act like he's better than somehow, because he's saying like, well, you just want to kill him out of revenge. I want to kill him for the good of the kingdom.
Right. For the
so
greater
I'm
good.
Cool. Yeah. And I'm like, Kaladin, you
Oh,
loser.
Jesus.
I hate him.
Yeah,
so Kaladin's going to go kill the king. He's mega complicit in the crime, even if he doesn't do it directly,
Yep. It's
I
like
write
somebody...
rest in peace, Syl, right?
Yep. GG, Syl. Hey, you did your best.
Because what was his oath? Something about protecting those who cannot protect themselves? Memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, explicitly removing the protections you put in place to allow somebody to die goes against that a little bit, a skosh.
A little tiny bit.
So we'll see. We'll see what goes down.
Whew. Yeah, that's rough. So I mean, hey, I now like. I never thought this would happen, but I like Adolin more than Kaladin.
Yep, we finally reached that terrible inflection point on this graph of character ratings, but.
Yep. Shallan is just dope as heck. Shallan's like a 9 for me now. Mm-hmm. Adolin is like an 8.
Mm-hmm.
Dalinar is still way up there. Dalinar is like a 9 or a 10.
Yeah. What do you think of Moash?
You want me to rate Moash?
Sure.
I mean, it's like a 4. He's just a revenge boy. That's his only character trait, right?
Yep. Pretty much.
Why? What do you rate him?
Yeah, probably a 4 too. He's below average.
What about Lift?
Ooh, Lift. She's super OP, but very weird.
She's kind of whack.
But I like interesting. I'll give her like a 7.
The thing is that Lift feels like a different genre than everyone else.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So like when these characters meet, like what is gonna happen?
Right. It's gonna be like a crossover episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Liv pretty good. She's like a 6 or 7 maybe.
Yeah. I just like interesting characters, good or bad. So
Yeah. And hey, I mean we did it. We read the thing, didn't we?
That was awfully short. Not a lot.
This was kind of a quick little one. I mean, 44 minutes. It's still
Right, but not a lot of like big story elements moved forward. Just kind of a lot of just a lot of little things kind of popping.
Yeah, and we always the end of each part is always more exciting than the beginning.
Yeah, right. They're just setting up the house of cards so they can tear it all down.
After this, though, we only have 3 readings left for this book, and the next one is going to be chapters 67 through 75, which will bring us to the end of part 4.
Right.
So, Chichinga Bablinga, that's a cool 41,000 words.
Woo! That's
How'd
a
that one get so long? How'd that one get so long? Wow, this last one was also 38,000. These were two long ones.
Too thick.
So buckle up,
sections.
Johnny boy.
All right. Click. I
Click.
gotta go buy me some books. Gotta get Oathbringer. Gotta get Arcanum Unbounded. Gotta get another book that came out today, actually, that I am looking forward to reading.
What book is that?
It's a Beautifully Foolish Endeavor, sequel to An Absolutely Remarkable Thing by Hank Green.
Curse you, Hank Green!
First book, very good. Would recommend.
Hank Green, I will slay you in battle one day.
Oh, I forgot.
Oh, John, do you know that
your
Hank
personal
Green is my
vendetta.
nemesis? Do you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I remember. We should maybe we'll do those books on this podcast someday. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's going to take us another half a year to get done with Brandon Sanderson.
But yeah.
Actually, 9 months.
Once we get through book 4, we can branch out to non-Brandon Sanderson books. I know that's scary.
No, that's what I'm saying, dude. At this rate, we will not get through book 4 for 9 months.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
It's just, frankly, we don't read very fast, you know?
No. We take reasonable sized chunks and give them each the time they're due.
Yeah.
The time they're owed.
Taking
the time Brandon Sanderson wanted them to be stewed upon.
Brandon Sanderson, like Rock, sometimes wants you to cook stew for 3 weeks.
Right.
I don't know.
The best way to read a book,
head.
tear out each page and savor it.
Tear out each page and eat just one bite every hour.
Every hour. Savor it.
Like, I'm talking a big bite, though.
A chomp. A munch.
Holy moly. All right. Well,
that's enough of that.
That's the podcast.
If you're listening, you're a loss.
I'm gonna go now.
Okay, bye.